The key to controlling your wealth is found in the cash flow board game, but it's not on the game, it's in the financial statement. And this is what your banker will ask you for when you grow up. This is your report card. They don't care if I went to Harvard or Yale, and they don't care if I'm valedictorian. They want my financial statement. And if you haven't got a financial statement, they won't give you any money. They shouldn't, because you're not that smart, even though you may have a college degree and straight A student, you know. So the cash flow game was a breakthrough, came out in '96, to actually have fun learning about how to be an accountant, really. And that's what Tom Wheelwright, you know, is my teacher on this whole thing. And he says, out of 1,000 students from college, none know what a financial statement is. And that's why we're in serious financial trouble today, including Deutsche Bank. You know, I think Deutsche Bank is the most precarious bank today. But that's because those guys don't know what money is either. So it's really a challenge. You know, the Fed is run by 900 PhDs, and that's why our economy is so screwed up. That's like having 900 PhDs telling us how to manage our money. And then you have a guy like Trump, right? You know, some people love him and some people hate him. And you're not going to convince anybody to change your mind. You know, some of you hate him right now, some of you love him, some of you don't give a shit. But now you'll change your mind. But the reason he doesn't show his financial statement, this thing here, he won't show it because he doesn't pay any taxes. So the more I understood money, like I said, the more I had to take a shower. Mm-hmm. And the more I studied money, I went, oh my God. So I'll give you a little history. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Bank was created. The same year, 1913, the Internal Revenue Service was created. And if you can understand that, the reason they don't tell you about money is because in 1971, the US dollar became debt and they could print as much as they wanted. And then taxes. So that's the system. It's always debt and taxes. So the reason Trump won't show this thing is because you would see that boy's making billions of dollars and paying nothing in taxes. Now, some people say that's criminal. I kind of personally like it because I do the same thing.
So let's get into the section of entrepreneurship, Robert. Entrepreneurship right now is more in demand than any other time because it's changing so fast. And in all of history, the entrepreneurs are the ones that solve the problems and actually be able to pivot quick enough to profit and to actually survive. And the people that are thinking old ideas are hurting right now. Maybe you could explain a little bit about that, where your perspective, and I'm seeing your changes already in the last time with Twitter and everything. That sounds really excellent.
Well, you know, like my poor dad was an employee, school teacher. My rich dad was an entrepreneur. So I'm going to go back to age 9. When I asked my poor dad, the school teacher, I said, when are we going to learn about money? He said, well, we don't teach money at school. And I said, but your rich dad might know about it. So I said, why would he know about it? And my poor dad said, because I'm an employee and he's an entrepreneur. So he says, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you must understand money. So it's like the US economy right now. America is now 120% debt to GDP. And the average American has no idea what I just said. Japan is now pushing 280% debt to GDP. You know, I don't know what the euro's doing, but you know, if you don't understand those words, you're probably in trouble. The pre-existing condition of a lack of financial education is really what it is. This is my book that came out in 2020. It's Who Stole My Pension. And and my co-author is an SEC attorney. He's also a whistleblower on Wall Street. So he saw how Wall Street was ripping off the pensions all over the world. So and it's a worldwide problem. So he says here the number one export of America are toxic assets. And that's what America did in 2008. That's why the subprime market nearly crashed. That's why Deutsche Bank's still in trouble. HSBC is in trouble. The Bank of China is in trouble. It's very simply as they keep buying these toxic assets. And the reason pensions are broke is because Wall Street was selling them these toxic assets, the same as it did with Iceland and Turkey and Greece. And these guys who are managing our pensions are like my poor dad. They're highly educated poor people. And so that's why if you have a pension, you're in serious trouble today. So in this book here, Who Stole My Pension, I've been interviewing people. And one of the guys in there was a UPS driver, it's like a FedEx driver. And those guys are supposed to be smarter than the average truck driver. And the guy interviewed here, his pension was, when he retired, was $5,000 a month. They just cut him down to $900 a month before the crisis. So it's getting worse. So the baby boomers, with what we call in America call a 401k, defined contribution pension plan, they're even worse trouble. So the old guys like me, the baby boomers, are in serious trouble. So the millennials are in trouble too, because not understanding money, millennials owe 1.7 trillion in America in student loan debt. So the average millennial coming out of school is set back in life because they're handcuffed with debt. And that's because they don't teach money at school. And I'll go back to it again. In 1971, the US dollar, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the US dollar became debt. And today, as we're speaking today in 2020, they're printing trillions of dollars because, it's like the Hindenburg, the Derrick, it's coming down. The tear is so big. The stock market keeps going up, but the problem is it's in the shadow banking system. It's like the banking system under the streets. So you see upstairs, there's a nice little bank. You see a little government office, and you see a financial planner's office. But under the street is a shadow banking system. And it's bankrupt. So that's why HSBC goes to bank, Deutsche Bank goes back, the hedge funds, private equity funds. They're all banking in the shadow banking system. That's where commercial paper and corporate credit is sold. So in September 2019, the shadow banking system in America, the biggest banks, like Deutsche Bank, went to borrow money because they were broke. And the hedge funds were broke. And the shadow banking system says, we're not going to give you any more money. So they raised interest rates to the most creditworthy banks to 10%. Meanwhile, on the surface, to mom and pop, they were dropping interest rates because they need mom and pop to use credit cards and borrow and buy houses and all that. But the biggest banks, hedge funds, financial organizations are going broke. That's why this crisis is so big. The dominoes have not yet started to fall.
So this question was, I remember reading it, is from Norbert. His favorite book was Fake. And his question was about, is he from Stuttgart? And he was asking about what's your take on gold, silver in small quantities, and using that as a tool for protecting as an insurance policy.
Right. I mean, that poor dad, there was 3 rules. This book was turned down by every New York City publisher because it said when it came to money, I didn't know what I was talking about. But you understand, most publishers and editors are people like my poor dad. They don't know what they're doing. So they turned down Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is 97. I had to be self-published because I said, your house is not an asset, and it isn't. Savers are losers, and the rich don't work for money. It was the house and the saving money that got to them, because for the average uneducated person, there may be a PhD, but saving money and owning a house is religious. My house is an asset. Now, if you can read a financial, it's a liability. It's owned by the banks. So the average educated person is an idiot. You can't cure stupidity. The problem. Until they admit, maybe I don't know something. So anyway, the reason I save gold, silver, and Bitcoin is because in the book Fake, I don't know where it is now, but
we just translated it. It's right here.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets is in 1971, the US dollar became fake when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So what I did in 1973 is I went on the gold standard. I was flying in Vietnam as a Marine pilot. and I had stories inside fake. And I went to buy gold behind enemy lines, which proves Marines aren't that smart. And the woman trying to sell me gold was smarter than I am. I don't think she went to Harvard. She had no college degree, but she knew the value of gold. And that was another wake-up call for me. Okay, I got it. So our aircraft carrier then sailed into Hong Kong, and I was running the streets looking to buy gold. And I didn't know this then, is that in 1972, when I was looking for gold, 73, it was illegal for Americans to own gold. I thought that was really interesting. The more you find out, the more you need to take a shower. But why are they doing that, So I buy a Krugerrand, and I had to smuggle it into the country, into the U.S., because it was illegal. I paid about $50 for that Krugerrand. Today, that Krugerrand is worth about $2,000. And it's not stored in America. It's stored in vaults outside of America. That's how much I don't trust my country.
Smart, yeah, smart.
I've been saving gold, silver, and Bitcoin, because gold and silver are God's money, and Bitcoin is people's money. In other words, it's outside the Federal Reserve and the central bank system, because I don't trust them. So if you trust them, save money. So I wouldn't want to be in the stock market, because the problems in the shadow banking system. And gold and silver, as long as they're printing money, gold and silver get more valuable, same as Bitcoin. So we're outside the system, and that's why I save, not cash, but gold, silver, Bitcoin. As long as they're printing money, I'll do the same. So I never have to worry about money, because I have more money coming in. I have more money in storage. I have gold, silver, Bitcoin that keeps going up as the Fed and the European Central Bank keeps printing, and these people are still saving. You can't cure stupid, because their neural pathways in the brains, they automatically go to saving dollars or euros or yen. But until you change the brain cells, you don't change the person. So that's why the cash flow game was designed to change the neural pathways in your brain. Then you can change your life. And don't just play it once. You're going to play it once? You're kidding me. I play that game every single day of my life. I got up this morning. I'm limited to how many Bitcoin I can buy. So I took the maximum. And then I maxed out on gold, because my gold guy is out of money. Out of gold. So I had to go trace more gold down. So I don't need money, because I have wealth. I don't trust the central bank system. If you do, save money. So we're having YouTube videos coming out. It's a 15-minute business school from Rich Dad for entrepreneurs and investors. In other words, it's financial education for the B's and I's, not E's and S's. These guys here, you can't change them, because their brains haven't changed. Employees will always say, I'm looking for job security. I want a steady paycheck. I want a pension. I want a government handout. And an S is like a doctor or a lawyer or a small entrepreneur, like a pizza shop owner, or a specialist like a computer programmer. You cannot change their brains. They work for money. Unless they play the game to change the neural pathways. B stands for big business or a brand. See, Rich Dad is a brand. It's worth millions. Every month I collect millions of people borrowing my brand, renting it from me. And then I stands for inside investor. These guys are outside investors. They buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. So if you want to be a big business owner, or you want to be an inside investor, the cash flow game is a good start. But you still got to keep getting educated. And the last thing is, with Tom Wheelwright, he always talks about this. If you want to understand the real game and why Trump pays no tax, is the real game, because it's always played in taxes. Remember, the Federal Reserve Bank was started in 1913, so was the tax department. They go hand in hand. So over here, employees pay 40. Not that smart. They work harder, they pay more taxes. Makes no sense to me. But the self-employed or the small business guy, and this is worldwide, this is not just the US. It's true in Russia, it's true in Germany and Japan. The smart guys pay 60%. So the A students pay 60%, the doctors and lawyers, okay? But the big business owners, they pay 20%. You know why? It's because taxes, Tom's explained in his book, tax. If you do what the government wants done, the government will pay, the tax department will give you a tax break. So because we hire employees, they give us tax breaks, you know? And then I stands for inside investor or professional investor. So I invest in real estate, oil, gas, all that. And I pay 0% in tax. And, you know, the reason Trump doesn't show his financial statement is because he's on the B and the I side. The people that hate him live on this side here. The tax laws are the same for everybody. But without financial education, you can't move over here. That's the game. So if you really want to know the game, it's in taxes. If you're up here or here, you can't do it. But if you have assets, you can. So people who don't have assets, they can't play the same tax game I play or Trump plays.